So I'm talking with the great Trevor Rabin, who just completed an amazing solo album that's not a film score, but has some beautiful pieces and feels as it, if it came from pure inspiration. But thanks so much for taking the time. It's a really great honor to get to chat with you.
It's great.
So to kind of just touch a little bit on your film composing career, you've built some very notable collaborative pairings with director Rennie Harlan and producer Jerry Bruckheimer. What are the differences between a producer-composer relationship and a director-composer one?
I feel that dynamic. You kind of get to know what the dynamic's going to be early on the film. Some producers don't necessarily get as involved in music. In Jerry's case, he gets very involved in the music. And with Rennie, they really do leave it to Rennie. He's got his own kind of ideas, and they have confidence in it. So, in Rennie's case, it's Rennie. A movie like what was it called? National Treasure and National Treasure 2. John Turtledove also has ideas. So there you have a collaboration of yourself and Jerry and John kind of talking about it as well. But they seem to collaborate in a amenable way, and there doesn't seem to be a problem. I haven't had any kind of major stick-ups yet.
That's good. And your scores have kind of defined the action genre throughout the '90s and into the 2000s and to currently. And you've scored countless car chases, gunfights, explosions. What is the key to making a good action score that you've learned over the years?
Well, the one thing if there's big explosions and fights going on, make sure you understand the music's not going to be heard very loud, so write it with a focus so that the important stuff comes through and is actually able to ride that stuff, because sometimes it's mixed very low.
And
That would be the one thing, and then also the other thing is, having done so many action movies on action scenes, just there's you have to find many ways to skin the cat.
have you ever like kind of listened to the final mix of a film and been disappointed that your music was mixed so low?
Um, you know what? I get more upset about on every film that I could have written that a little better there, and I'm always kind of criticizing what I've done, so I don't really have much time. But there was one movie which I found, I can't remember which one it was, I found a little disappointing that the music was written so low. I had more, and then sometimes you get. I just finished a pilot now, and they've put the music really quite loud, and it was surprising. So each person has a different way of mixing and a different formula and way of doing it.
Right. And so now you've taken a break from film scoring with your new album Jacaranda. Uh, and what inspired you to do this instrumental album?
With film scoring, um, I didn't get to play and kind of challenge my chops, if you like, a lot with film. Although there were, always I was always playing, but I was writing and being the architect of the music more than performing it. Um, and then obviously you go to orchestra with the movies I've been doing. Most of them go to orchestra, and then the orchestra play what you've written. And I'm a guitarist and a keyboard player, and I really wanted to play. And I hadn't done an album for so long. I decided I'm not even going to do an album. I'm just going to start writing and playing and just having a ball, basically. And that's kind of what I did. And pretty soon into it, I realized it was going to be an instrumental record, because I was just writing this stuff and I wasn't thinking about putting vocals on. So that happened very early on, and then I really started focusing on it soon after, and realized that I was just going to write what I wanted to write, and I would worry about putting it together afterwards. And there's 3 drummers on it. My son Ryan is on it, and Vinny Caliuta's on it, and Lou Molina. And the other thing was getting time to record was also difficult because, doing movies, it's pretty hectic a lot of the time, and
Right, yeah.
I'd have. But I grabbed 2 weeks here, 2 weeks there, and I've been doing it for quite a while. But then last year I decided, if I'm going to get this finished, I've got to really take some time to concentrate on it and get it done. And as I say, I had a ball doing it.
And so, I mean, what's different, I guess, emotionally about writing music without picture? If a score is inspired by the plot, the setting, the character, then so where did this music come from within you?
Well, that's a good question, because I had forgotten what it's like to write without pictures. So I wasn't sure what it was going to be like. And when I started, it was definitely a curiosity. And I have got to the point now where if you put a picture in front of me, and I'll write something. It's almost automatic.
Yeah.
But there's a Zen place that you can go to when you're just writing music. It's a good place, and it is with no picture and no other ideas. It's such a very intense focus for me.
And but I did notice though that a little piece of your score from The Guardian kind of snuck in there, and how did that fit in there? And did you rework that piece, and why?
Oh yeah, I completely redid it, and I also wrote in guitars to kind of bookend the piece.
Mm-hmm.
And I always loved the way Liz sang that piece, and so she came in and redid that, and I just thought it was appropriate for that to go on where it is on the album, because the album most of the time is going at 100 miles an hour, and this is just kind of pull back, and I like the idea of what it is, rescue, and I thought it was just appropriate there.
It is. Her voice is amazing. So she came in. She re-recorded as a brand new recording.
Right.
Oh wow. And you're talking about kind of the flow of the album. So I mean, you're writing these pieces, these tracks, and and I love the whole flow of the album. It really flows so well. So when you compile it, how do you decide the track order and the structure, and what did you want it to have? What kind of flow did you want it to have?
Well, I put together 4 or 5 different versions of it, and listened back, and it was quite simple actually. Once I hit on the version that there is now, I thought that was the one. But it was also interesting because on albums before, I'd been very conscious about, in the old days with LPs, you were very conscious about the running order, and you've got the one side, and then you've got the other side, and people might be reading these lyrics and credits on these big albums.
Mm-hmm.
So running order was part of the art, and that's kind of gone away a little bit with iTunes, and people just being able to buy one song and not really concerned about the flow of the album. But
right.
I really did concern myself with it on this album, and once I came to the flow that's there, I realized, well, that's where it's staying, and there it is.
Well, it really, I listened to it. I was really surprised with how well it flowed, and how much imagery there was, because I'm not a musician. Your music, when I was growing up, kind of helped me develop my screenwriting skills more than it was on that music side.
Wow.
So, but it's very visual music, and I really love it. It's really great.
Great, thank you.
What's the background of the name Jacaranda? What's the origin of that?
Well, I was born in Johannesburg, and around Johannesburg and Pretoria, there are just thousands of jacaranda trees all over the place, and it's forever been my favorite tree. And someone mentioned to me, although I haven't looked it up or diligently got into it, but mentioned that the jacaranda is the tree of knowledge, which I like the idea. So even if he's wrong, I'm calling it that. And it's just such a beautiful, beautiful tree. And my studio, also growing up with it lines either side of the street I was born, I grew up in, which is called Annerley Road, which is one of the road. And it's in the video. I've done a video of Annerley Road, and it's tons of jacaranda trees all over. And so, yeah, it just became, an important tree, and I love the word, just as a word. And my studio, for film scoring and even for quite a lot of Yes stuff I did, is called the Jacaranda Room. So I just thought it would be cool to call it Jacaranda.
Well, I do really love it. It's a great, kind of break from, even though it feels so much like your music, it's just I feel like it's pure inspiration through it, and it's just it's a really great album.
Oh, thank you so much.
And so I guess to wrap things up, I always like to ask composers if you could score any movie ever made, with no disrespect to the original composer, all humbleness aside, what film would you choose?
Wow, that's a great question. Let me think. I think The Longest Yard, the Longest Day was a particularly I saw as a great opportunity.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I don't think no one has said that, so that's a great answer. Yeah.
Yeah, I always saw that as just such a visual opportunity.
Well, that's a great answer. It's been such a real pleasure to talk to you, Trevor, again, and so I hope we get to do this sometime again. You've been such a musical inspiration to me in a different way, so I do thank you for this time.
Well, I appreciate that, and thanks for the kind words, and it was great talking to you.